everyone, my name is Dee and welcome to Books and Quirks. Today I'm going to be doing a weekly wrap-up and give you my thoughts on two of the books that I finished last week. So the first book that I finished last week was Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. I really have some mixed feelings about this book. This book is a psychological thriller, and I think it would be great for anyone that is a huge fan of that genre. It's really well written, really well paced, and it is really surprising. I did not see the end coming at all, or at least not exactly what happened. So this book follows a couple, Grace and Jack. Grace and Jack are a seemingly perfect couple. Everything seems perfect. Everyone sees their marriage as perfect. They have the perfect house, the perfect life, seemingly. But there's a lot of mystery clouding this couple. For example, their windows are shuttered during the day, and they really are not ever seen out alone, or at least the wife isn't ever seen out alone. She's always accompanied by Jack, and they just wonder how everything is always so perfect. And obviously behind closed doors, things are very, very wrong. So, having said all of the good things I said about this book, the reason I have mixed feelings is that I was really uncomfortable with a lot of things that happen in this book, as I'm sure a lot of people that read it are. So a lot of the things that happen in this book are really unsettling, and I couldn't, I watched a lot of reviews of this book, and people said they read it in one sitting and they absolutely loved everything. I don't know how they did that, because things were some things, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to give any specifics, but some things were just so horrendous that I had to stop and put the book down for a little while and then pick it back up later. It took me a little bit of a while to get through this book, even though it was relatively short. I don't know what to say without spoiling anything. I mean, if you've read this book, you know why probably I felt so uncomfortable with things, and I even considered DNFing it a few times throughout reading it as well, because I was just so nauseated. But anyway, I think that if you like psychological thrillers, you would really love this book. And I have read a few psychological thrillers. I've mentioned before that I'm a huge fan of Gillian Flynn, especially Dark Places and Sharp Objects, but this one a bit further, with a couple of events, so I think that is why I felt so uncomfortable with it. Yeah, it's definitely a good psychological thriller. It just maybe wasn't for me, or it's not something that I see myself rereading because it was just too uncomfortable the first time. Okay, so the second book that I finished last week and I'll give my thoughts on is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This was the opposite of Behind Closed Doors in every good way possible. This book came out last year. I don't know why it took me so long to read it. It kept on being pushed back, and I loved it. I loved it just as much as the Lunar Chronicles. This is a retelling of The Queen of Hearts. So this is basically a prequel kind of to Alice in Wonderland. You get to see how the Queen of Hearts came to be. You get to see her young life and her life as a young adult, and how she came to be the heartless person that we know her as in Alice in Wonderland. How did she come to be the person that, constantly is off on a tirade and saying off with their heads to anybody that contradicts her? And why is she always painting the roses red when they're coming out and blooming white? And you get to see all of the characters of Alice in Wonderland. I mean, the caterpillar who was constantly smoking his hookah and saying, who are you? And the white rabbit and the Mad Hatter, and even the dormouse, and all of the cards, the different cards. The spades and the clubs and the hearts and the diamonds. it's just so wonderful. And I mean, I just loved every single minute of it. And it really is, I mean, Marissa Meyer, I think, is so talented when it comes to fairy tale retelling. Um, you know, I have not come across a book of hers yet that I do not absolutely adore. And this one was no exception. I don't know if there's ever going to be, I mean, I think this is a standalone. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if this is part of a series, because it seemed like, you know, with this book also, if you love Alice in Wonderland, you see how it all comes full circle, because the end of this book kind of is a little bit of a hint of what happens at the beginning of the real Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. And it just, oh, it's just so good. And I mean, everything wrapped up perfectly. I mean, any sequel that comes after this would be Alice in Wonderland. So I don't know. I don't know what would come after this, but it definitely was really, really fantastic. And I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Right now, I am in the middle of Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty, so I can't really speak too much about this except that I'm absolutely loving it. This is following a group of women in Australia, 3 women to be exact. So when this book starts, a murder has taken place, and or a tragic accident, we don't know which. We just know that someone is dead. We don't know who is dead. We don't know what exactly happened. And this book, as this book goes on further, it's sort of unraveling little by little. We're getting little bits of information about what happened that fateful night and what it has to do with the 3 main characters. So the 3 main characters are Madeline. Madeline is sort of, you know, the quintessential mom. She's sort of the social center of the town. And then there is Celeste. She seemingly has the perfect marriage. She is beautiful. She has a wonderful husband, seemingly, and they're very, very wealthy. And she is close friends with Celeste. And then they meet the 3rd character, Jane. Jane is a very young mom. She's only 24, and she is new to the town. And they all meet on the first day of kindergarten orientation, because they all have a 5-year-old and entering kindergarten that year in the beach town school that they live in. And it's just really, really good. I still don't know what happened because I'm only halfway through. But I cannot wait to continue on with this and tell you more of my thoughts once I finish. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on the books that I finished last week, and just a little bit of my thoughts on what I'm reading right now. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye.